The message came on a Tuesday. Dr. Alan Carter was working late at NASA's Deep Space Listening Station in New Mexico. The midnight shift was usually quiet. Most of his colleagues had gone home hours ago, leaving him alone with the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of monitoring equipment. Alan rubbed his tired eyes and reached for his coffee mug. It was his third cup tonight, and the coffee had long since gone cold. He grimaced at the taste, but drank it anyway. Then he heard it, a pattern in the background noise, a signal where there shouldn't be one. At first, he thought it was a glitch in the system. Space debris or a satellite malfunction could cause strange readings, but as he checked the equipment, his heart began to race. This was different. The signal was too structured, too precise. Alan's fingers flew across the keyboard as he isolated the frequency. The pattern repeated, growing stronger with each passing minute. This wasn't random noise. This was a message. He picked up the phone with shaking hands and dialed his supervisor's number. "Sir, I think you need to see this," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. I think we're receiving a transmission from somewhere beyond our solar system." Within hours, the quiet facility transformed into a buzzing hive of activity. Scientists, military personnel, and government officials filled the rooms. Among them was Dr. Lisa Morgan, the world's leading expert in linguistics. Lisa stood before the main screen, studying the strange symbols that appeared in sequence. Her brown hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and her eyes narrowed in concentration. "It's definitely a language," she said, pointing to repeating patterns. "See how these clusters appear multiple times? That's not random. Someone is trying to communicate." Alan watched as she worked. The excitement in the room was electric, but underneath it ran a current of fear. If this message came from an alien civilization, what did they want? Were they friendly? Hostile? Just curious? 3 days later, the translation matrix finally cracked the basic structure of the message. Lisa gathered the team in the main conference room as the computer finished processing the final elements. "We're ready," she said, nodding to Alan. He pressed the button, and words appeared on the screen. The room fell silent as everyone read the message. "Attention inhabitants of the third planet of Star System 7329b, local designation, Sol. This communication serves as formal notice of your incorporation into the Galactic Council's Protected Species Program. Your biological and technological development has been monitored and deemed sufficiently advanced for contact, but insufficiently mature for independent status. You have 30 standard planetary rotations to prepare for arrival of Council representatives and formalize your surrender. Resistance is historically unprecedented and strongly discouraged." Message ends. The silence in the room stretched for several long seconds before erupting into chaos. "Surrender?" Alan said, turning to Lisa. "They want us to surrender." Within hours, news of the message leaked to the public. Media outlets worldwide broadcast the translation, causing waves of panic, disbelief, and in some places, celebration. Some people saw the aliens as saviors, others as conquerors. World leaders called emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. Religious leaders offered conflicting interpretations of what the message meant for humanity's place in the universe. At the United Nations, representatives argued fiercely. Some nations wanted to prepare a peaceful welcome. Others called for immediate military preparation. "We cannot simply roll over," shouted the French ambassador. "This is the future of our entire species at stake." "And what would you have us do?" replied his Chinese counterpart. "Fight beings who can cross interstellar space. That would be suicide." As debates raged across the globe, satellite operators reported a new object entering the outer solar system. Moving at impossible speeds, it was on a direct course for Earth. The Galactic Council had not waited for humanity's reply. They were already here, and humanity had 27 days left to decide its fate. The alien ship entered Earth orbit 3 days later. It was smaller than expected, about the size of a naval destroyer, with a sleek silver hull that seemed to shimmer against the blackness of space. Nations around the world pointed their weapons skyward, but no one fired. Not yet. "It's a scout," said Major Susan Williams as she studied the satellite images. "They're testing our response." The major stood in the Pentagon's Situation Room with 30 other military and government officials. Screens around the room showed the alien vessel from different angles. One screen displayed a live feed of the United Nations emergency session. "How can you be certain?" asked General Frank Peterson. "It's what I would do," Susan replied. "Send a smaller ship ahead of the main fleet. Test defenses. Establish communication. They want to see if we'll shoot first." The room fell silent as a new alert sounded. The alien ship had launched a smaller vessel. This one was heading directly toward the United Nations building in New York. "All air defenses hold fire," the president ordered over the secure line. "I repeat, hold fire unless fired upon." The small craft landed on the UN Plaza with surprising gentleness. News cameras captured the moment as a door slid open. A tall, slender figure emerged. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. It wore something like a robe made of metallic fabric. This was Ambassador Silverin of the Acrelian species, though humanity wouldn't learn his name until later. The world watched as the alien strode confidently into the UN building, escorted by nervous security personnel. Inside, representatives from every nation waited with a mixture of fear and wonder. "Greetings, inhabitants of Earth." The alien spoke in perfect English. His voice had an odd musical quality. "I am the advance representative of the Galactic Council, sent to prepare you for integration." UN Secretary General Diego Alvarez stepped forward. "We welcome you to Earth," he said carefully. "But we have many questions about this integration." The alien's four-fingered hand made a dismissive gesture. "Your questions are predictable and unnecessary. All developing species have the same concerns. All receive the same answers. The Council has overseen the integration of 342 species. The process is standardized." "Perhaps you could explain this standardized process," Olivia Rice, the chief UN diplomat, suggested. Her voice was calm, but her hands gripped the podium tightly. The alien's large, pupil-less eyes blinked slowly. "The terms are simple. Earth becomes a protected territory for 1,000 of your years. The Council will establish outposts to monitor your development and ensure compliance. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your technology development will be regulated. Resource quotas will be established for the benefit of the greater galactic community." Murmurs ran through the assembly. Olivia leaned forward. "And if we refuse these terms?" The alien made a sound like quiet bells ringing. It took a moment for the humans to realize he was laughing. "No species has ever refused. The benefits of Council protection far outweigh the primitive concept of complete autonomy. You will be shielded from cosmic threats. You will receive controlled technological advancement. Your species will survive." "Survive as what?" Olivia asked. "As servants." The alien's 4 eyes narrowed slightly. "As a contributing member of galactic society, your role will be determined by your capabilities, which our assessment suggests are limited." In orbit, the scout ship transmitted data back to the main Council fleet, still days away from Earth. The data included scans of Earth's military capabilities, resource measurements, and population centers. What it didn't detect were the emergency meetings happening in bunkers deep underground, where Intelligence Officer Ryan Garcia was sharing a disturbing discovery with world leaders. "We intercepted and decoded some of their internal communications," he explained, putting files on the table. "They don't see this as protection. They call us a resource acquisition mission. Earth is being harvested, not protected." The president's face hardened. "So this talk of integration is just a lie," Ryan finished. "They'd done this hundreds of times to other worlds. They take what they want, resources, labor, whatever they need, and leave the species dependent on them forever." In the UN building, The alien ambassador continued outlining the benefits of surrender, unaware that humanity was already beginning to unite against the Galactic Council's true intentions. 3 weeks remained before the full Council fleet would arrive. On the surface, the world seemed divided. Some nations publicly announced their willingness to accept the Council's terms. Others threatened to fight until the last human standing. This chaos was exactly what humanity wanted the aliens to see. Captain John Mitchell stood on the deck of the aircraft carrier U.S. Lincoln, watching planes take off for routine patrols. At least, that's what they looked like to the alien scout ship monitoring from orbit. In reality, each plane carried special equipment designed to test the alien vessel's reaction times. "Anything?" John asked into his radio. "Yes, sir," came the reply from Lieutenant Kelly Brooks, flying 10 miles above him. "Every time we ping them with the new frequency, there's a 3-second delay before their shields adjust. It's consistent across all test runs." John smiled. A 3-second window wasn't much, but it was something. He immediately called headquarters with the news. Meanwhile, in a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Major Susan Williams worked with a team of scientists studying a piece of technology recovered from the alien landing craft. It had fallen off during the landing and been quietly collected by a quick-thinking security guard. "It's some sort of communication device," Dr. Paul Harris said, carefully turning the silver object under a microscope. "But the energy signature is unlike anything we've seen before." Susan pointed to a pulsing blue light at the center. "Whatever powers this thing, it's not running low after days of operation. Their energy technology must be incredibly advanced." Paul nodded. "But look at the construction. It's advanced, yes, but it follows logical patterns we understand. It's not magic. It's just better engineering." "Can we reverse engineer it?" Susan asked. "Not in 3 weeks," Paul admitted, "but we can learn enough to disrupt it." Across the world, similar efforts were underway. Publicly, nations bickered and threatened each other, creating an image of a planet in disarray. Privately, information and resources flowed across borders with unprecedented cooperation. At the United Nations, daily meetings with Ambassador Gil Varan continued. Olivia Rice led these discussions, carefully extracting more information while appearing to consider surrender. "Your species is surprisingly stubborn," Gil Varan said during one meeting. "Most accept council wisdom immediately." "Humans have a long history of independence," Olivia replied. "Some nations are more willing to see the benefits of council protection than others." The ambassador's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your national divisions are inefficient. Under council guidance, you will function as one unit." "And what happens to those who resist?" Olivia asked casually. "Compliance is mandatory for protected species," Gil Varan stated. "Initial resistance is met with persuasion. Continued resistance cannot be permitted." Later that day, Olivia met with Intelligence Officer Ryan Garcia in a secure room swept for listening devices. "He's talking about forced compliance," she said. "Possibly worse." Ryan nodded grimly. "My team intercepted more communications between the scout ship and the main fleet. They'd done this hundreds of times before. Species that resist are made examples of. They call it pacification. Genocide," Olivia translated. "But there's something else," Ryan added, sliding a tablet across the table. "Look at these energy readings from their ship. They use some kind of quantum fold technology for their weapons and shields. It's powerful, but the pattern is fixed. They haven't updated it in what their records call 12 cycles. They've stopped innovating," Olivia realized. "Exactly. Their technology is advanced but stagnant. They haven't faced a real challenge in thousands of years." As the meeting concluded, news arrived that changed everything. A scientist named Kate Dixon, working with quantum physicist Dr. Paul Harris, had made a breakthrough. By studying the alien communication device, they discovered a way to listen in on the Council's private channel. For the first time, humanity could hear the Galactic Council's true plans for Earth. And what they heard turned fear into determination. The day of reckoning arrived. 50 massive ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, moving quickly toward Earth. Each one was the size of a small city, dwarfing the scout ship that had arrived earlier. People around the world watched their approach on live television. Some prayed, some hid in bunkers, some held their loved ones close. But behind the scenes, humanity was ready. President William Clark sat in the Oval Office, surrounded by his advisors. The room was silent except for the soft hum of equipment. On the screen before them, the alien fleet arranged itself in a perfect circle around Earth. "They're in position, Mr. President," said Defense Secretary Harold Bennett. The President nodded. "And our preparations?" "Complete," replied Major Susan Williams. "Every nation is ready. Every system is in place." A light flashed on the secure communication panel. Ambassador Gzil Varan was requesting an open channel to all Earth's leaders. With a nod from the President, the connection was established. The alien's face appeared on screens worldwide. Behind him stood 12 different alien beings, each one stranger than the last. This was the Supreme Council, the ruling body of the Galactic Federation. "People of Earth," Gzil Varan began, his voice translated into every human language simultaneously. "The time for decision has come. The Supreme Council has arrived to formalize your species' protected status." The camera panned to show the 12 Supreme Council members. One stepped forward, a tall being with crystalline features that sparkled under the ship's lights. "I am High Elder Zor Thol," it said in a voice like chimes. "For 10,000 years, the Council has guided younger species into the galactic community. Today, we welcome Earth." The alien paused, clearly expecting gratitude. When none came, it continued. "Your representatives have been informed of the terms. You will surrender your military capability. You will accept Council guidance. You will provide resources based on assigned quotas. In return, you receive our protection and limited technological sharing." Another Council member moved forward. This one looked like a giant insect with glowing red eyes. "Be aware," it chittered, "that while no species has ever rejected Council protection, our patience is not unlimited. Your compliance is expected." In the underground command center beneath the UN building, Olivia Rice stood with delegates from every major nation. They had spent the last 3 weeks planning this moment. "Are we in agreement?" she asked, looking around the room. Solemn nods answered her. The Chinese representative spoke first. "We are one people today," he said simply. The Russian delegate nodded. One voice. One by one, every nation confirmed their commitment to the plan. Olivia picked up the secure phone. "Mr. President, we are ready to transmit humanity's response." Back in the Oval Office, President Clark took a deep breath. "Do it." In space, the alien fleet waited. They had done this hundreds of times before. The pattern was always the same. The young species would submit, perhaps with some token protest, but they always submitted. On the Supreme Council's command ship, High Elder Zor Thol waited impatiently. These humans were taking longer than most to respond. "Perhaps they are debating which representative should deliver their surrender," another council member suggested. Suddenly, all communication screens on the alien ships activated simultaneously. The council members turned to see what the humans would say. Instead of a long speech or a formal statement, the screens displayed a single word. It appeared in every human language, one after another, filling the screens. The word was simple. The word was clear. The word was no. Silence fell across the council chamber. For several long moments, not a single alien spoke. They stared at the screens in complete disbelief. Finally, High Elder Zor Thol found his voice. This is unprecedented," he stammered. "No species has ever." The insect-like council member clicked its mandibles angrily. "They refuse our protection. Impossible." Across Earth, humans waited for the aliens' response. In homes and bunkers, in military bases and city squares, people held their breath. The one-word answer had been sent. There was no going back now. On the Council flagship, chaos erupted. The 12 Supreme Council members argued loudly, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of alien languages. High Elder Zorthal raised his crystalline arms, calling for order. "Silence," he commanded. "This is unexpected, but not a crisis. The humans simply do not understand the consequences of their choice." The insect-like council member, Krezix, clicked his mandibles angrily. "We should begin immediate pacification procedures. One orbital strike on their largest city will change their response." "No," said a third council member, a floating blue sphere named Elfar. "This is unprecedented. We must understand why they refuse before we act." Unknown to the council, their entire conversation was being monitored. In a secret facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Kate Dixon and Dr. Paul Harris listened to the alien debate through the communication device they had studied. Kate's fingers flew across her keyboard, translating the alien languages in real time. "They're arguing about what to do next," she reported to the command center. "They don't have a protocol for rejection." In Washington, President Clark received this information with a grim smile. So our first guess was right. They've never heard no before. Major Susan Williams nodded. "Their confusion buys us time. Every minute they debate is another minute for our preparations." Meanwhile, on the council ship, the debate continued. A holographic display showed Earth's military capabilities, resource measurements, and population centers. The data was several weeks old, gathered by the scout ship during its initial survey. "Their technology is primitive," Krezix insisted. "Their weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Their resistance is futile and illogical." "Then why resist at all?" asked Elfar. "No species has ever refused council protection. These humans must have a reason." A fourth council member, a reptilian being named Slor, hissed softly. "Perhaps they have hidden capabilities our scans did not detect." "Impossible," Zorthal dismissed. The scout ship's survey was thorough. In the monitoring room, Kate and Paul exchanged looks. The aliens still didn't know their scout ship's data was incomplete. Earth had hidden its most advanced technologies and newest military developments from the initial scans. "They're still underestimating us," Paul said quietly. Kate nodded. "Good." Back on the council ship, Ambassador Isil Varen approached the Supreme Council with a suggestion. "Most honored elders, during my time on Earth, I observed something unusual about humans. They are unpredictable. They often act against their own self-interest for abstract concepts like freedom and independence." The Supreme Council members stared at him in confusion. "That is irrational," Zorthal stated. "Yes," Zilveran agreed, "but it is their nature. I believe they may actually prefer destruction to submission." This statement caused another uproar among the council. The very idea that a species would choose extinction over the council's protection was incomprehensible to them. As the council argued, a young alien scientist named Zelfar worked quietly in his laboratory aboard one of the smaller ships. Unlike the council elders, Zelfar had spent years studying unusual species across the galaxy. Humans fascinated him. He had been monitoring Earth's communications, not just the official channels but the countless radio and television broadcasts, internet signals, and more. He understood humans better than any other alien in the fleet. And he was worried. "They're not acting like a frightened species," he muttered to himself as he reviewed the data. "They're too calm, too organized." A pattern in Earth's communications caught his attention. There were gaps, brief moments when certain military frequencies went completely silent before resuming normal chatter, almost as if. Zelfar's eyes widened. "They're hiding something." He hesitated, unsure whether to report his findings to the council. As a junior scientist from a younger council species, his input was rarely welcomed by the elder races. Back on Earth, Commander Eric Daniels stood in an underground hangar in Nevada. Before him were 12 sleek spacecraft unlike anything the public had ever seen. These were the products of decades of reverse engineering from crashed alien craft, the ones governments had kept secret for years. "Pilots to your ships," he ordered. "Operation Surprise begins in 30 minutes." The human response to the Galactic Council was about to move beyond a single word. The Council's patience ran out after 6 hours of debate. High Elder Zor Thal finally raised his crystalline hand for silence. "Enough discussion. We will proceed with standard protocol for primitive resistance. Prepare a single disciplinary strike on their largest military installation. Once they witness our power, they will reconsider." Krezix clicked his mandibles in approval. Target acquired. Their facility, called Pentagon, houses their primary military leadership. On the main view screen, a targeting display showed the 5-sided building in Virginia. Energy began to build in the flagship's main weapon. The familiar hum of the quantum disruptor filled the command deck as it prepared to fire. "Weapon charge," reported a technician. "Firing in 10 seconds." Zor Thal watched with cold confidence. This scene had played out dozens of times before with other stubborn species. One demonstration was usually enough. "Fire," he commanded. A brilliant beam of energy shot from the flagship toward Earth. The council members watched, expecting to see the target vaporize instantly. Instead, something unexpected happened. As the beam entered Earth's atmosphere, it began to waver and disperse. By the time it reached its target, the energy had dissipated to almost nothing. The Pentagon remained untouched. "Impossible," Krezix screeched. "Scan their atmosphere immediately." The technicians worked frantically at their stations. One looked up in confusion. "Elders, the humans have somehow saturated their upper atmosphere with a particle field that disperses our energy weapons. It's a technology we've never encountered before." In the Pentagon's war room, cheers erupted as the alien weapon failed. President Clark turned to Major Susan Williams with a smile. "The quantum diffusion field worked," he said. Susan nodded. "Dr. Harris designed it based on the alien technology we studied. They'd been using the same weapons for centuries without innovation. They never expected us to develop a countermeasure so quickly." High above Earth, Commander Eric Daniels gave the signal. 12 stealth spacecraft rose silently from hidden bases around the world. These ships were small compared to the massive alien vessels, but they carried humanity's secret advantage. "All pilots report ready," his communications officer said. "Begin Operation Surprise," Eric ordered. The human ships activated their stealth systems, becoming nearly invisible to conventional sensors. They approached the alien fleet from multiple directions, targeting the smaller support vessels first. In his laboratory on one of those support ships, Zelfar noticed something strange on his instruments. Tiny fluctuations in the ship's energy field suggested something was approaching, but the main sensors showed nothing. He frowned, adjusting his equipment for a more detailed scan. Suddenly, his eyes widened. "They have stealth technology," he gasped. He reached for the communication panel to warn the fleet, but it was too late. The first human ship fired its weapon, not at the alien vessel itself, but at its main communication array. A precise strike using technology reverse-engineered from the same quantum principles the Council used, but applied in a way they had never considered. Similar strikes hit 5 other alien ships simultaneously. None were destroyed, but all lost their ability to communicate with the flagship. On the Council command deck, alarms blared. "We've lost contact with 6 support vessels," a technician reported, panic in his voice. "How is this possible?" Zor Thal demanded. "Their weapons should be primitive." In Nevada, Dr. Nicole Wright worked frantically at her computer. As Earth's leading xenobiologist, she had been studying all available data on the alien species. Now she had made contact with someone inside the alien fleet. "Can you hear me?" she typed into the secure channel. After a moment's pause, a response appeared. "Yes, I am Zelfar, Science Officer of the Galactic Council. Who are you?" "A scientist, like you," Nicole replied. "One who believes this conflict is unnecessary." Zelfar hesitated before responding. The Council has never faced a species that could resist. They don't know how to respond except with force. Then help us show them another way, Nicole wrote. Help us end this without destruction. Aboard the flagship, the Council was in disarray. Half their fleet had lost communications. Their weapons were ineffective. And now sensors showed more human ships rising from Earth's surface. This was a trap, Krezix hissed. They wanted us to attack. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council faced a species that had outmaneuvered them. The next 12 hours changed the balance of power in ways no one had expected. What started as a simple no from humanity had evolved into the first real challenge the Galactic Council had faced in millennia. On the Council flagship, the unity that had held for thousands of years began to crack. The younger Council species watched as the elder races argued bitterly among themselves. We should retreat and regroup, suggested Ulfar, the floating blue sphere. These humans have capabilities we did not anticipate. Retreat. Krezix hissed. That would be unprecedented. No primitive species has ever forced the Council to withdraw. High Elder Zorthol's crystalline form had lost some of its shine. We must increase the level of our response. Prepare all weapons. We will target multiple human cities simultaneously. A new voice spoke up, surprising everyone. I object to this course of action. The Council members turned to see Ambassador Xilverin standing at the entrance to the chamber. Beside him stood representatives from 5 of the younger Council species. You overstep your authority, Ambassador, Zorthol warned. Perhaps, Xilverin replied calmly. But I have spent time among the humans. They are not like other species we have encountered. They will not surrender, no matter how many cities we destroy. They will fight until their last breath. The younger Council representatives nodded in agreement. One stepped forward. A green-skinned humanoid named Miralex. The elder races have led us into a conflict we cannot win easily, she said. For the first time, we face a species willing to say no to us. This should prompt reflection, not escalation. The command deck erupted into shouting as the Council fractured along age lines. The elder species, who had ruled for millennia, faced open rebellion from the younger members. On Earth, Dr. Nicole Wright continued her communication with Zelfar. They had been exchanging information for hours, building trust between human and alien. The Council is dividing, Zelfar reported. The 5 youngest member species are questioning the Elder's approach. This has never happened before. Can you get a message to their representatives? Nicole asked. Yes. What should I tell them? Nicole typed quickly. Tell them we want peace, but not submission. We are willing to join a truly equal galactic community, but we will never surrender our independence. In Washington, President Clark met with Olivia Reyes and military leaders. The situation was developing faster than anyone had predicted. Our stealth ships have disabled communications on 12 enemy vessels, Major Susan Williams reported, and our defensive systems have held. Their weapons are ineffective against our atmosphere shield. But that won't last forever, Captain John Mitchell cautioned. They'll adapt eventually. Olivia Reyes looked up from her tablet. Dr. Wright has made contact with sympathetic aliens within the Council fleet. She believes some of the Council species might support our position. The President nodded. So we have our first potential allies. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the command center. Satellite imagery showed energy building in 3 of the largest Council ships. They're preparing to fire again, Susan announced. Multiple targets this time. They're aiming for New York, London, and Beijing. Before anyone could respond, something unexpected happened. 5 of the alien ships moved into position between the Council flagships and Earth, blocking their line of fire. On the main Council ship, Zorthol stared in disbelief. What is the meaning of this? We will not allow the destruction of an intelligent species for simply asserting their right to exist, declared Miralex, her voice firm. The younger Council races stand with humanity. Ambassador Xil stepped forward. I have learned much during my time on Earth. These humans value something the Council forgot long ago, the right to choose their own path. I too stand with humanity. The Supreme Council chamber fell silent as the unthinkable happened, open rebellion against the elder races. On Earth, people watched their screens as alien ships positioned themselves protectively around the planet. No one understood exactly what was happening, but one thing was clear. Humanity's simple refusal had sparked something much larger than a conflict over one planet. It had ignited a revolution within the Galactic Council itself. 3 days after the Council split, the conflict reached its climax near Jupiter. The elder races had withdrawn their ships to regroup, while the younger Council members remained near Earth. Both sides prepared for a battle that would change the galaxy forever. Aboard the human command ship U.S. Freedom, Commander Eric Daniels stood with an unusual group of allies. Ambassador Xil and representatives from 5 younger Council species joined human military leaders around a holographic display of the solar system. The elder races have called for reinforcements, Xil explained. They will arrive in approximately 12 hours. Then we must act now, Eric replied. Our plan must succeed before the reinforcements arrive. Dr. Nickel Wright entered the command deck with Zelfar, the alien scientist who had defected to their side. Together, they had created something unprecedented, a communication system that could bypass the Council's secure channels. It's ready, Nickel announced. We can broadcast directly to every ship in the Elder Fleet, including to the crew members who haven't been told the truth. President Clark's face appeared on the main screen from Earth. Is everyone prepared for what happens next? There will be no going back. Around the table, humans and aliens nodded. Miralex, the green-skinned representative, spoke for the younger Council species. For too long, the elder races have ruled through deception. They told us we were protecting younger species, when in truth we were exploiting them. Today that ends. The combined fleet of human and rebel alien ships moved toward Jupiter, where the Elder Council vessels had gathered. It was a smaller force facing a more powerful enemy, but they had the element of surprise and the truth. As they approached, Nicole activated her broadcast system. On every ship in the Elder Fleet, screens suddenly activated. Crew members of all species saw decades of secret Council records, the true history of how they had enslaved hundreds of worlds under the guise of protection. Attention all Council vessels, Nichols' message began. You have been told you are protecting the galaxy. In truth, you have been part of a system that has exploited countless species. Today, humanity and the younger Council races offer a different path forward. On the Elder flagship, chaos erupted as crew members confronted their commanders. Many had genuinely believed they were helping younger species. Now they saw the truth. High Elder Zorth Hull watched in horror as controls slipped away. Shut down all communications, he ordered. This is human deception. But it was too late. Ship after ship in the Elder Fleet stood down, their crews refusing to fight. Some even turned their weapons on the command vessels. In the confusion, Krizix made a desperate move. The insect-like Elder took control of the flagship's weapons and targeted Earth directly. If we cannot have that world, no one will. He chittered madly. Before he could fire, Zelfar's voice came over the communication system. Attention flagship crew, your quantum drive has been compromised. If you fire, the backlash will destroy your own vessel. It was a bluff, but Krizix didn't know that. In his moment of hesitation, loyal crew members overtook him. The threat to Earth ended before it began. Within hours, the Elder Council's forces surrendered. High Elder Zorthul and the other ancient rulers who had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years were detained by their own people. 2 weeks later, representatives from Earth and all Council species gathered on neutral ground. The International Space Station expanded for this historic occasion. Diplomat Laura Martinez had been chosen to speak for humanity. Today marks a new beginning, she said, addressing the largest gathering of alien species ever assembled. not as rulers and subjects, not as protectors and protected, but as equals. The new alliance, named the Galactic Cooperative, would be built on mutual respect and true exchange. Each species would maintain its independence while contributing to the greater community. As the treaty was signed, Ambassador Xil approached President Clark. "Your species continues to surprise me," he said. "All of this began with a single word." The president smiled. "Sometimes one word is enough, when it's the right word." 1 year later, a monument was unveiled in New York's Central Park. It was simple, a black stone pillar with a single word carved in every language of Earth and the galaxy. No. Beneath it, a small plaque read, "The word that changed the galaxy." Thousands of visitors from hundreds of worlds came to see it. Many touched the stone and remembered how a small, seemingly primitive planet had taught the stars that freedom wasn't just worth fighting for, it was worth saying no for. And in the depths of space, new civilizations were making contact with the cooperative, discovering a galactic community built on choice rather than submission. The age of forced protection was over. It had all started with humanity's one-word reply that stunned the Galactic Council.